Can I be honest with you about something? For years, I looked incredibly successful. I was the CEO. I had multiple offices, leading teams. The work that I was doing made people say, wow, you really look like you have it together. But here's what they didn't know they didn't see that I was sitting in my car before going into the office, crying, taking deep breaths, because I couldn't remember the last time I felt like myself. It wasn't because anything was wrong, nothing terrible had happened. I just didn't feel like me anymore. If any of that sounds familiar to you, this video is going to make a whole lot of sense. On paper, it looked like I had everything. I was leading a company, I had a great team, people depended on me. I was the person that people came to when they needed answers. At home, I was often the default parent, the one tracking everyone's schedules, making sure that everything ran smoothly, holding it all together also. From the outside, it looked like I was crushing it. But privately, I was drowning. Every single day, I felt like I was already behind from the moment that I woke up. The decisions, oh my God, I had to make so many decisions and they never stopped. And I get that that's part of the responsibility of being a grown up, but it was a lot of decisions. What's for dinner? Should we expand this idea into a new market? My brain was full on all the time. I remember one night, probably around 11 o'clock, I was sitting in the bathroom with my laptop because it was the only quiet place in the house and the only moment in the day where I had time to myself. I was trying to catch up and I found myself thinking, is this it? Is this what success feels like? Is this what it's all about? It didn't feel like winning. It felt like barely surviving, quite honestly, and in really nice clothes and a beautiful house. But I didn't feel like I was winning. Here's the part that made it worse. I felt like I wasn't allowed to struggle. I felt like because everybody was healthy in my family and I had a great job and I had a life that I think a lot of people were working towards. So who was I to struggle or complain? So I just kept going. I kept pushing. I kept telling myself, be grateful. It's going to be fine. Be grateful. But inside, I was lonely. I was disconnected and I was running on pressure instead of peace. Late night Googling, why do I feel empty? How do I stop feeling overwhelmed? Is this all life's about? The sitting for 5 extra minutes in my car at the beginning of the block where I lived before going inside, just to give myself a little bit of space. The 3 a.m. anxiety spirals where I'd lie there thinking about all of the things I didn't get done and all of the people I was inevitably letting down. The worst part, I had no one to talk to about it because everyone at work thought I had it together. Everyone at home needed me to have it together. So there I sat alone. I was alone in my success. I felt empty. It, it can't be what everybody strives for. This can't be the success that as a kid and a college student they told me about. What changed? Honestly, I hit a wall. I'm not being dramatic. I didn't have like a public breakdown, but in quiet, in a private moment, I realized this is not sustainable. I cannot keep running on empty. I can't keep showing up as this version of myself. I can't keep taking Adderall I'm not prescribed to and having cappuccinos at 4 o'clock. Something has got to give. And that's when I started asking a different question. Not how do I do more or how do I manage this? I asked, what if I'm solving the wrong question? What if I'm solving for the wrong problem? Because here's what I realized. I did not need another productivity system. I did not need a management hack. I frankly didn't even need more help at home or more people hired at work. I needed space to think. I needed space to breathe. And I needed space to ask myself, what do I actually want now? And then I finally created that space and everything shifted. I started with the simplest thing, clarity. I asked myself, what do I value? Not what am I supposed to value, not what looks good on paper, what looks good on Instagram, but what actually deeply matters to me in this season of my life. And when I got clear on that, and I mean really clear, the decisions got easier, the guilt fell away, the boundaries I had really been too scared to set, they became non negotiable. I eliminated things that were draining me. I streamlined what actually mattered, and I delegated what never should have been mine in the first place. Slowly, but not overnight, things started to shift. Fundamentally, I started to feel like myself again. Not the performing for everyone else version, but the real version, the real me, the one that could be present with her family without guilt, the one who could lead without burnout, unapologetically, and the one who could breathe, again, unapologetically. Here's what I learned. through all of that, high achieving women aren't overwhelmed because we're incapable. We're overwhelmed because there's no space. We're not incapable. We're actually too capable, probably. There's no space to slow down, no space to reflect, and no space to ask, is this even what I want? And the minute you create that space, everything changes. That shift, that journey from drowning to clarity to peace, that's what changed my life. And that's why I do what I do now. I'm not encouraging you all to quit your job, although that did solve a lot of problems for me. Leaving my marriage solved a lot of problems. But finding clarity first through your values is the very, very first step, but you have to have space to do it. So now I help women who are where I was, women who look successful on the outside but are struggling privately, women who are tired of holding it all together, tired of holding everything alone. And I do one thing, I help them reclaim control of their life, not by doing more, but by getting clear. Here's what that looks like. We start with clarity because clarity changes everything. When you know what you actually value, the decisions become so simple. When you know what you want, the boundaries become easy. When you trust yourself again, the guilt falls away. From there, we build a structure that actually supports you, not someone else's idea of what your life should look like. We identify what's draining you and we decide, does this get eliminated, streamlined, or delegated? And we create space, real, tangible space for you to think, for you to breathe, and for you to show up as the version of yourself that you actually want to be. I'll tell you what I hear over and over again. From the women I work with, I hear things like, oh, I finally feel like I can breathe again. I didn't realize how much I was carrying until I put it all down. I feel like myself for the first time. I feel like I'm meeting myself as an adult for the first time, and I like her. They reclaim 10 plus hours of their life every single week, not by hustling harder, but by doing less. They stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose. And just as importantly, they stop doing it alone. Because when you're surrounded by other women who get it, who understand the invisible load, the private struggle, and the weight of leading, everything changes. If you're watching this and something inside of you is whispering, something has got to change, then this is your invitation. Not to become someone new, but to truly come home to yourself. The first step is simple. Book a clarity call with me. We'll talk about where you are, where you want to go, and whether or not working with me makes sense. The call is with me personally. There is absolutely no pressure, no hard sell, just clarity. Because I've been where you are. And I can tell you, the life you're dreaming of is not near as far away as you think. You just need space to see it clearly. Link is in the description. I'd love to talk with you. Thank you for being here. Talk soon.